Welcome to Joe's Restoration Rescue. This presentation covers the Sunbeam Alpine billet timing cover installation. Well known to Alpine restorers and enthusiasts is the problem of leaks from the front timing cover and its labyrinth seal. Chances are both the cover itself and the damper are worn or damaged after 45 years of service and require a renewal for proper operation. A search of the internet quickly uncovers the small block Chevrolet timing cover fix. A great idea, with a lot left up to luck and individual skill as to its success, both in initial application and long-term reliability. We here at the Rescue Squad decided to do it up right. That's Eugene Toner, our installer for this episode. Young in years but well versed in the subject of old British sports cars, motorcycles, and banana cars. Check out some of his handiwork over at bigbananacar.com. and meet Steve Braithwaite, the gentleman who designed this website. The first step is to drain the coolant from the cooling system, as we need to remove the radiator to be able to remove the harmonic damper from the crankshaft to allow removal of the timing cover. First, off with the radiator cap. Then find the drain valve underneath and a suitable container and allow the coolant to drain completely out of the system. If your coolant is less than 6 months old, you might want to reuse it by filtering it on the way back into the system when the install is complete. Otherwise, please dispose of the coolant at the store where you purchased the replacement coolant, as it is toxic and a danger to children and animals. The next step is to remove the radiator and get ready for crankshaft damper removal. First, the top radiator hose is removed by loosening the front upper hose clamp at the upper radiator outlet. Then loosen the hose clamp at the water pump. Pry the hose off at the water pump end first, as this allows the hose to be worked at the radiator end more easily. Gently pry the hose off of the radiator outlet tube, being careful not to damage the tube or the radiator. Remember, these parts are 45 years old and more. Remove the upper hose and clamps and put aside. Next is the lower radiator hose. Unloosen the upper clamp and pry the hose from the water pump. Now from underneath, find and unloosen the lower hose clamp. Pry off the lower end, again being careful not to damage the radiator outlet tube or the radiator itself. Remove the hose clamps and put aside. Not totally necessary but convenient is to next remove the heater hose from the water pump outlet. Just get it out of the way, don't remove it completely from the car. Next, remove the bolt holding belt tension on the alternator and unloosen the pivot bolt on the bottom of the alternator. As can be seen in the picture, this Alpine has been converted to a later MGB alternator. Remove the mounting bolt on the upper alternator bracket, remove the bracket, and put aside. Now we are ready to remove the radiator fan. We've found the box end of a 7/16 wrench works very nicely on the fan bolts. Remove all 4 bolts, the fan blade and pulley, and set aside. Now for the radiator proper. Remove the 2 mounting bolts on the left side and the 2 on the right side. Gently work the radiator around any remaining obstacles. Remove from the top and set aside. The radiator is removed and we are ready to tackle the harmonic damper. This is the view from the front through the grille at what would normally be the old timing cover and harmonic damper. In our case, we are using Joe's Alpine for the development of this product and have just completed the testing of the new cover using a refurbished damper. Next, the damper must come off. We highly recommend the use of an impact wrench to remove the damper bolt, as this puts the least load on the other parts of the assembly. Get a proper socket for whatever mounting bolt you have, either with or without the engagement for the manual engine crank. Here is the setup we use. Avoid the temptation to use pipe wrenches and the like to remove the bolt. And don't try to hold the outer rim with a strap wrench, as this can cause damage to the rubber bushing holding the outer damper hub to the inner damper hub. The wobble extension allows some movement in the path from the impact wrench to the damper bolt. The extensions exit out through the old crank handle hole in the front valance, and now we're ready to blow some air. We bandsawed off the hooks for the old manual crank handle. We have done this job numerous times during this product development, and this makes our job a little bit easier. We use a puller which only applies force to the inner hub. The picture says it all. The damper is removed, and we are ready for the removal of the timing cover itself. Here we avoid having to remove the water pump to free the timing cover. Speaking of dampers, don't try to reuse a damper like the one on the left. Remember, these old parts can fail catastrophically, damaging your favorite motor, radiator, and needlessly to say, threaten your safety driving down the highway. We highly recommend installing a new damper for best performance and peace of mind. Joe's Restoration offers brand new dampers to go with these timing covers. Finally, down to the timing cover itself. The old cover can be removed without the necessity of removing the water pump. There's one hard to get to screw behind the water pump, as can be seen in the picture. On the old timing cover, there is a lip partially obscuring the screw shown. Some fiddling with the wrench at an angle to break the screw free and patiently turning out the screw will negate having to remove the water pump for this installation. The new cover does not have this lip, but provides a much heavier flange to provide excellent stiffness in the gasket area, and it is much easier to get the screw back in place when reassembling. And now on with the new cover and a quick look at the internals. A look at the picture reveals the inner workings of the timing assembly. Of note here is the tensioner and the missing standoff from the original timing cover. We designed our covers to have a lot more material and be much stiffer than the old sheet metal covers, so that the requirement for the standoff poking out of the cover is no longer necessary, and this eliminates another potential leak site. Also note the rubber chain tensioner and its metal leaf spring at its center. We highly recommend the replacement of these two items with new parts. We have removed the old rubber parts in an almost dissolved and soggy condition from being soaked in oil for the past 45 years. As can be seen, this rubber tensioner bears against the timing cover to develop its force to tension the chain. This force will cause the timing cover to shift its location and misalign the new small block Chevrolet timing cover seal in relation to the harmonic damper center of rotation. The small block Chevy has no timing chain tensioner and does not place any force at all on the timing cover. So in the case of the Chevrolet, the timing cover will align itself just by engaging the seal with the damper, after which the timing cover mounting screws are secured. This is a universal problem in any Alpine application using the small block Chevy seal. Because we are starting with a billet on a modern CNC machine, we can hold the hole centers and sizes relative to the seal mounting surfaces to precisions that would be impossible in a sheet metal part. Because of this, we can ensure that any misalignment will never be greater than the allowable seal misalignment as specified by the seal manufacturer. To improve this situation even further, a confirmation by the installer of clearance around the mounting screws is all that is required as they are tightened down. Just put in all 13 screws loosely and push on the cover where it bears on the timing rubber until a slight movement is felt. Hold the cover in place while the screws are tightened down in the sequence shown. Initial alignment is made using an appropriately sized drift. Gasket cement is recommended for both the block and the cover gasket surfaces. The new cover should be wiped clean of any contamination, and the block surface should have all old gasket material thoroughly removed before installation. A brand new timing cover and a brand new damper installed and torqued to factory specifications. On reassembly, it might be a good idea to replace any worn hoses or drive belts along with using new hose clamps. This concludes the installation instructions for the Sunbeam Alpine billet timing cover.